Hello to the chess chicos and the chess chicas. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm coming at you with an absolute banger, which was not a planned video at all. A couple of days ago I played a game, a blitz game online. A position occurred in the game which I thought would be a fun position to post on Twitter, and I did so, and I asked the public, the chess public, to express their opinion about the position, whether they preferred white or black. It was a very simple question, and I did indicate that I had an agenda with the question, which was that I had a feeling that people's evaluations will vary, or rather they will change from positive to negative or negative to positive depending on how we approach it as you go up on the rating ladder. So well, I will show you the position. This is what I posted on Twitter. Black to move. In fact, sorry, one move back. This was it. Black to move. And I asked the peeps whether you prefer white or black, give a numeric evaluation. And in fact, if you would like to partake in this cool game of mine, then I would like to encourage you to pause the video here for a couple of moments and reflect on what's going on. I shall continue here. So my only agenda was that I assumed that the lower your rating is, the more likely you are going to lean towards black doing better, because it's very apparent that there is an open H file and the white king has 0 pawns in front of it to shield the king. And for low rated players, that's generally speaking a very serious concern that usually leads to evaluations based on that very fact. And so I expected them to express their dislike for the white position. Of course, I forgot to ask the people of Twitter, or X, or whatever the thing is called now, to add their rating to their evaluations. But I did check the position with students of various rating levels, and indeed that hypothesis was more or less confirmed. But this would not have made it to a YouTube video unless something really, really cool happened. And I did not see this coming, and I'm immensely grateful for what went down on Twitter, because fellow Aussie Grandmaster David Smerdon tuned in and offered me the most incredibly insightful comment I have come across in a long time, and it made me reflect on a lot of things, in particular reflect on my own thinking, the faults, which are numerous, in my thinking. And it made me realize, or rather, it re-emphasized some of the weaknesses of my own chess, because I thought that this position, and actually I think for the sake of the fluidity of the video, it's best if I tell you that this position, depending on which engine you used, is roughly about +2, 1/8 +2 for white. So white is clearly better. The reason for that is the huge amount of space advantage, the greater piece mobility, and a clearer plan available to white, which is to break with f5. Also note that king g2, bishop out, queen up, and rook h1 is a stock standard procedure to take that h file away from black and indeed use it to our benefit on the king side. So, and that was my impression when I played the game. That was my impression when I asked the question. I was 100% convinced that this position is bordering the unplayable for black, and it is total garbage. And then Dave's tweet came in, which I'm going to show you. And he says the following. I'm going to read it because it's going to be probably a little bit small on the screen. You don't have to be a good player to realize that it's either already winning for white or it isn't. That's a really, really cool way to put it. Never thought about it that way. He continues, so I expected evals of either +5, hello, or 000. The choice comes down to whether you think white breaks through after something like, and he offers a variation and already a diagram below here, by the way, which is the result of his analysis. And he starts it off with c4, and I switched back because the next part of the tweet is just the variation, bishop c2 and f5. And this is a move that I didn't even bother looking at, and that's where I'm reflecting on my own chess. And my greatest weakness in chess is that I look at a position like this, I absolutely nail the evaluation, it's perfectly in line with the engine, I know the correct plans, and because of that, I tend to be very careless, I suppose is the best way to put it. And I don't put enough effort into trying to find out how white could have a chance to survive and what kind of plans potentially could allow black to stay alive, elongate the game, stir it towards a playable position. And here, by the way, there is a very strong contrast between me and David in the sense that, I don't know, I would consider myself to be a bit of a more of a classicist who looks at it, goes like, yeah, white is going to win, let's move on next. Whereas Dave, who is an ultimate fighter, he looks at it like any other position that could pop up in any chess game, and he immediately applies the best of his skills, especially his calculating ability, and sets off to work and starts looking at c4, bishop c2, f5, double exclam, in my opinion, for the mere idea of trying to counterpunch on the king side where technically black has no business whatsoever. And it's based on this nuance too, that after takes, knight takes, g4 is not so simple to defend, and after knight e5, black has knight e4. And I don't want to engage with this because I don't want to open up this bishop's diagonal, but if I don't, then it's kind of in my face. And I don't like this position as much as I like the one where I ask the question. And so Dave's line goes like this: f5, knight g5, knight g8. Once again, when I went through this, I'm like, holy heck, what an idea. And I can't take on e6. Now, I don't know if David saw this or he just sensed that this was right, but after knight e6, queen h4, even here I'm reluctant to believe that my king can get hurt. Mind you, the engine gave me a very painful reminder about this, because I thought, okay, look, f3, if they go check, I go. If they go check, I go. You can't mate me with these two when the rest of the army is immobile. And then engine goes, yeah, but hello, here we come. And that knight df6 move is just absolute bonkers. And the idea is simply to bring a knight to g4 and mate me on h1. And white has no adequate way to meet this. So now g8 has to be respected, which is insane because black has two developed pieces, and the best move is to put it back on the starting square. And now the following line is more or less approved by the engine. King g2, the idea is as per introduced, rook h1, queen e7, rook h1, knight h6, knight g3, king d8. This is David's variation. Gf, queen h5, or bishop d2 first makes no difference. Bishop g7, rook triple up. And after queen f3, he concluded his tweet with a5, going like, so he said that white is either going to break through or not, and after the variation, which I am just providing here for you now, he ends his tweet with a, and fair enough. The engine still claims a 1.4 edge to white, which is substantial. But it's no longer clear what exact plan and what exact move order I should follow to win. And I'm still in the mindset, by the way, despite this very, very valuable lesson that David taught me here, is that I look at it and I'm like, yeah, white should win this. But I don't bother looking into it more in depth because I consider it so damn winning. And so, really? Like, it's not that simple. It's not that simple because I would naturally want to play knight here to eliminate the bishop and just break through, but rook g8. If I take on g7, they can take back with the queen. A lot of pieces have come off and I haven't broken black yet. It's not like I can anytime soon. Absolute bonkers, crazy variation. I think the engine's favorite line for white is to not engage with f5 in terms of taking, go into g5 right away, and after takes, play knight g3, knight f5, and king g2 with a subsequent rook here. I thought I saved this line. Yeah, I did. I did. Queen e7, queen takes g4, bishop b7. But again, if you look at this, it's not crystal clear. I think it is a little bit of an improved version of David's line from white's perspective. And even this one is just clearly better. No winning plan is apparent. And I really, really enjoyed this whole entire discussion, because when I asked the question, I was 100% convinced that white is completely winning, and all I was curious about was how many people would be fooled by the open H file and the king's relative weakness. And it turned into a remarkable exercise and reminder of my own chess weakness, and how it sort of caught up with me when I had no intention whatsoever of working on it or considering it even the least. Fascinating stuff. Also, Anish Giri weighed in. I will show you his tweets as well. At first, all I could get out of him was a +2. I was already eternally grateful that he actually engaged. I tagged him and begged him for something. He gave me +2. And then he added afterward a very curious comment too. Looks like a dream French for white. Obviously, it's a French structure. Even if we treat it like a mirrored King's Indian, my king has already made it to safety. I am not going under 1.3. So he is also very, very clear on the fact, the mirrored King's Indian confused me, by the way, a little bit. He's not going below 1.3. Curiously, doesn't offer plans. I guess he didn't really want to engage too deeply. And then Johnny B, the legend himself, John Bartholomew, weighed in too, and he said, the type of position where I would say white is clearly better. Everyone said that above a certain rating level. And if pressed for a number, probably 0.8. Now that again reflects a little bit the style of the player, because John doesn't necessarily enjoy positions that lack clarity. And this position certainly has a lot to offer in the messy department, because if you want to play for a win with white, you will have to break with f5, and that will blast our own king even further open. And so that a lot of players would not like to engage with, because they just feel that that's just like, yeah, if I could, I would avoid it. That's more of a style than an objective evaluation, but you got to respect that. Having said that, he then goes on to add that when I know when I say and press for a number, I would probably say 0.8. When I know the engine will say something like +3.6. So he also knows. That's a very curious thing. And this is why humans playing chess will always remain a super fun endeavor to watch. Because there is the me that you can't remove from the equation, that I don't like certain types of positions, or I do enjoy certain types of positions. And both his and my evaluation was actually a little bit skewed off of the right one, because I overestimated it, he underestimates it, and we both know that we are wrong, but we still give that evaluation because we can't remove the ego from the question, which is very, very fascinating. That is basically what I wanted to tell you, but to give you the full picture, I will show you how the actual game went, which I botched a little bit, but ended up winning in the end. One more thing I want to show you, just to demonstrate how incredibly the engine and its style has impacted humans and how we perceive chess and how we calculate lines. In this position, I played g4, which I would consider to be an absolute no-brainer. And then I looked at the engine, and one of the engine's favorite move is h4. Now, for the record, they are not like, oh yeah, same idea. No. One of them is going that way, the other one is going that way. Like, it, not even close, because g4 keeps the pawns flexible and it allows an f5 break. It's the cleanest, most logical plan to human eye. h4, in extremely strong contrast, allows black to completely shut down, total shutdown of the king side at first sight. And so you go like, what the heck? By the way, not long ago, Sadler posted a video about a a4 idea in the King's Indian, which was very similar to this h4 one. This seems like the new trend in the wing attack, and the justification, hang on to something, you will be blown away. It's f5. An insane pawn sack, and after bishop to g5, bishop e7, take, bishop takes, ef, obviously after gf5, knight g5, knight f4, pick off this and win. So ef, knight f4, bishop knight b6 rather, excuse me. Probably bishop b7 is already met by e6. Yeah, that's the idea. This is the point. And you can't take because g6 drops. And also after knight b6, knight g5, there is no adequate answer for black against the pending e6. That is just absolutely bananas. Like, without me seeing this at least once, there's no way I would have considered h4 in this position at all. Absolutely none, zero, zilch. And yet, turns out that it might have been a better way to play. Game went like this. Take, 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 b4, bishop d2. Oh, sorry, bishop e3. Take, 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 take. I didn't think that these captures were good because it took away the chance from black to tuck the king away on the queen side. Knight b6 was played. I played king g2. The engine prefers f2. Nuances, bishop d7. And here I should have probably played a4. I really regret that I didn't. But this was a blitz game, so quality is definitely going to be compromised. I played knight g5, bishop b5, knight g3, trying to play for f5. I felt that my play was very logical, but at the same time, I also felt like I wasn't doing justice to the advantage I thought I had. And by now, by the way, my +2 is down to 0.7. Take, take, knight c4, bishop c1, rook h4. I totally overlooked this idea. But luckily for me, f5 worked. And so I went for it. And here my opponent fell apart. Because after take, 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 he took back on f5. Which was losing on the spot. Black needed the second exchange here with check. And then take g5. And although white is definitely much better here. Knight e3 had to be dealt with. And rook f1 is coming. It's still hard work. It's still hard work to convert this. My opponent instead retook on f5, and after queen f5 now it is just carnage. There is nothing to stop the destruction. On f7 he played queen d7, even allowing e6, hitting here, pin on the f-file. And yeah, the rest was just absolute carnage and mop up. And I went on to win, but most definitely not because I treated the position well. So, I suppose there are many, many lessons to learn from this. One of them, the most important one to me personally, is that it's one thing that I evaluate positions really well, and I even have the right plans to play the position with, but that should not make me blind to the opponent's existing plans and to push myself harder to recognize that a +2 is not a win. And actually, when I was a practical player, I bled out on that all the time. Because I felt like my job was done when I reached +2 and I didn't really enjoy and I wasn't really good at converting those +2s. And so if I were still an active player OTB, that would be my area of focus in order to grow. And I suppose if you are one of those guys who also tend to be, you know, a little bit too easily judging positions and brush it off with, oh yeah, white is going to win it, that's where we all need to grow. And for that, I'm very, very grateful to my good friend David Smerdon. Once again, shout out to him, not only for finding these magnificent ideas, but also turning something that I was convinced about was utterly mundane into super exciting and really fun to engage with. This was a little bit of an oddball of a video, I suppose, in its topic, and it was difficult to really present it that would fit into the usual schemes that I follow on this channel, but I really thought that there was so much to discuss about that position that I wanted to dedicate a rather long-winded video, in fact, to this. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I would encourage you to analyze positions like that in depth because it supports almost all chess skills, the calculation, the visualization, tactical sense, positional understanding, the whole lot. An ultimate endgame exercise, middle game exercise, excuse me, right there for you from this position. If you want to have some fun with it, I encourage you to do so. That is going to be it from me for now. Please don't forget to sub, to like, to super thank me if you can. Please leave a comment down below to help the algorithm. And I'm going to be back with the next video soon. Thanks again for watching. I will see you shortly. Bye.